What is the closest to death you have ever gotten?
I got caught in a storm 30 miles offshore. A storm blew out from onshore and caught us off guard. My friend had turned the radio off because there were no storms forecasted. We were tied off on an oil rig, Gulf of Mexico, and catching snapper and sharks, drinking and even swimming, completely oblivious to what was coming at us. When we heard the low rumble of thunder drifting out to us from the direction of land, fear set in. We were too far out to see land at all, so it was just us and whatever was coming at us. The first rumble was barely there. We paused for a sec, but decided it was a plane or something. The second rumble snapped us to attention. We pulled up our lines, tied everything down, and hit full speed heading toward shore. My friend turned his radio back on, heard the weather advisory, and that's when he said, "Oh shit." As the storm rolled over us, it was harrowing. The sea took on this odd color blend, kind of purple on one side of us and green on the other. The waves quickly picked up, and we began catching air every time we'd crest a wave. Our boat was not big at 25 ft, and we were now fighting 112 ft seas and wind pushing back at us at 50 mph. The only way to survive was to keep the nose of the boat straight into the wind, or we'd roll. I had tied down in the back near the motors, and was sitting cross-legged with rope wrapped around both wrists, tied to both sides of the boat. We were smashing into the water when we'd come back down from being airborne, and at one point I recall sitting waist-deep in water, hearing the motors trying to drown out as we fell rear first in the water. They picked back up, though, and we kept going. I had my eyes closed at first, but I decided if I die, I want to see what kills me. Lighting was everywhere. The rain was blasting hard into our faces, and I watched a tornado spin sideways overhead. I'm not even sure which side was the origin and which side was the tail. It was just this huge tube of darkness rotating over us. The boat was flying over each wave, smashing back into the water with so much force that we were all afraid it would break apart. My friend yelled to everyone that the boat hull was buoyant, so if it shattered, grab a piece and hold on. The motors were screaming when we'd fly, and then choke down when we'd hit the water with massive force. This happened hundreds of times, and each time I think we all feared it would be the last time we'd hear it. We took turns yelling coordinates to my friend as he kept us facing straight into the wind. He had a handheld GPS that we used for monitoring our direction. After about an hour, we finally hit the backside of the storm. I remember my friend cheering, and I was happy but also sort of numb. We were about 10 miles off course to the east due to the wind we had to face into, so we had a longer trip back than when we had headed out. When we got back to shore, all of our partners were yelling, and when the Akyate boat was on the trailer, we all hugged and thanked my friend for keeping us alive. We were late coming back, and they had feared the worst. Everyone had given up on the fish we had in the cooler, except for me, so I stayed up until 2 or 3 a.m. cleaning the fish at home, then tossed the fillets in the fridge, showered, and went to bed. No way was I wasting those fish, not after we nearly gave out lives to catch them. This may or may not be the closest I've come to dying, but it's certainly the most memorable.